Imagine opening your eyes to a temperature of -30 degrees. You are 11,000 feet above sea level, trapped in one of the most hostile environments on Earth. Around you lie the shattered remains of an airplane and the bodies of your friends. You have no winter clothes, no medicine, and almost no food.
Jackets. No, just more junk. This is hopeless.
Then a pocket radio delivers the final blow. The world has stopped looking for you.
Please, no!
Do you surrender to the cold, or redefine what it means to be human just to survive?
Just a little further.
This was the reality faced by the survivors of Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571. Their story is often called a miracle, but it was forged through human willpower.
This map shows a route over the ridge.
On October 13th, 1972, a chartered plane departed Montevideo, Uruguay, for Santiago, Chile.
Next passenger, please.
On board were 45 people, including members of the Old Christians rugby team, with relatives and supporters.
Wi-Fi, buddy.
As the aircraft crossed the Andes, heavy cloud cover blinded the pilots. Relying on incorrect instrument readings, the co-pilot believed they had cleared the mountains and began descending too early. When the clouds opened, a rock face appeared ahead. The plane struck a ridge, tearing off both wings and the tail. The remaining fuselage slid down a steep glacier at nearly 300 miles per hour before crashing into a snowbank. 12 people died instantly, and several others died from injuries and freezing cold during the first night. Among the survivors was Nando Parrado. He remained in a coma for 3 days with a fractured skull and was presumed dead. When he awoke, he learned that both his mother and sister had died. They were stranded in a valley of ice with a few chocolate bars, several bottles of wine, and no heavy clothing. At night, they crowded inside the fuselage and blocked its open sections with luggage to keep out the freezing wind.
The wind won't stop!
By the 10th day, starvation had become unbearable. They tried eating leather from suitcases and material from the seats, but the wreckage offered no nutrition. Then they heard a radio announcement. The official search had been called off. To the world, they were already dead. With no rescue coming, they faced an unimaginable decision. The only source of protein was the bodies of their dead friends and teammates, preserved by the mountain ice. The group endured a moral and spiritual crisis. Most were devout young Catholics, and the idea of eating human flesh seemed horrifying.
It's the only way.
They made an agreement. Each gave the others permission. If I die, you have the right to use my body so that you may return to your families. They did not see this as savagery, but as a sacred covenant of survival. They chose life. Nature then struck again. On October 29th, a massive avalanche buried the fuselage while they slept. 8 people suffocated.
I can't breathe!
For 3 days, the survivors remained trapped inside the snow-filled wreckage, breathing through small air holes reaching the surface. After escaping, they understood that no one was coming. Their survival depended on rescuing themselves, and eventually, only 16 people remained alive. On December 12th, the 60th day of the ordeal, Nando Parrado, Roberto Canessa, and Antonio Vizintin began an attempt to cross the mountains. They had no climbing equipment, only a crude sleeping bag sewn from aircraft insulation. They believed green Chilean valleys lay beyond the western ridge. But after days of exhausting climbing, Parrado and Canessa reached a summit 15,000 feet high and saw only an endless chain of snow-covered mountains. They were not near the edge of the Andes, They were deep inside them. Parrado looked at Canessa and said, "We go forward." Vizintin gave them his food and returned to the fuselage, allowing the other two to continue with more rations. For 10 days, Parrado and Canessa walked through the mountains. Their feet were damaged, their bodies were starving, and the thin air made every step painful. They descended cliffs, crossed icy rivers, and continued because stopping meant death for everyone. On the 9th day, the landscape began to change. The snow became thinner. Brown earth appeared, followed by grass and a rushing river. Across the water, Canessa saw a Chilean cattle herder named Sergio Catalan. The river was too loud and dangerous to cross. Parrado tied a note to a rock and threw it to Catalan. It said, "I come from a plane that fell in the mountains. There are 14 people left on the plane. We need help quickly." Catalan alerted the authorities.
They're reporting a downed aircraft. The location is Sector 4, near the river fork. Mark it now.
On December 22nd, 1972, 72 days after the crash, rescue helicopters reached the valley. The 16 survivors, weak and skeletal, cried as they were lifted from the mountains. The story of Flight 571 is called a miracle, but survival did not come from magic. It came from resilience, teamwork, sacrifice, and love. Stripped of comfort, certainty, and outside help, these young men did not turn against one another.
I can't breathe!
They created a society built on cooperation and shared responsibility. Their choices showed that even in one of the coldest and darkest places on Earth, the human spirit can remain strong enough to overcome the impossible. Leave your answer in the comments. If this story got under your skin, hit the like button. And if you want more real, documented mysteries like this one, subscribe. There's more coming. See you in the next one.